Punjab grows rice more than wheat. So changes are possible, but they take a little bit of time. Looking ahead, let's say 15, 20 years, where do you see Indian agriculture going?
If we play our cards well, which I'm fairly confident of, I think our country has the ability to provide food security for humanity. As a person who has seen agriculture very closely, all the inefficiencies that we talk about, I see them as opportunities.
Namaskar and welcome to another episode of the Professor Mahesh Podcast, your resource to help you make informed career decisions. As we like to think, this is your future simplified. This podcast is supported by IIT Madras Global, an initiative of the Office of Global Engagement at IIT Madras. IITM Global is our platform to take everything IIT Madras and everything India to the world audience. Our startups, our philosophy, our teaching, our research, our innovation, and our patent portfolio, and everything largely of benefit to the world at large. Learn more about them through the link in the description below. At the outside, happy Pongal, happy Sankranti, Bihu, and wish you a wonderful harvest festival to all of you to celebrate this wonderful occasion for us all in India. We have a very special episode to learn about farming, farmers, and the community that feeds us on a daily basis. It's my absolute privilege to have for the conversation today, Sri Anil Kumar Garu, founder and CEO of Samati. Welcome to the conversation, Anil.
Namaskar, Dr. Mahesh. Thank you for giving me opportunity, and wish you all a very happy harvest festival. As Prof said, happy Pongal, happy Sankranti, happy Bihu, and everything that comes with the bountifulness of the harvest and the money.
We tend to underestimate the importance of agriculture in our lives. We take it for granted, at least in an urban setting. We go to a store and, every grain I want, rice, pulses, oil is all readily available. Maybe we should start off with that. Help us understand how food gets from the farm to our dinner table. What are the different steps involved? Then we'll go deep into where the challenges lie.
Oh, wow. That's the summum bonum of the entire agriculture space, Dr. Mahesh. It takes a lot for the nature to manifest as food on the table. If we have a deep appreciation and gratitude for what goes in, perhaps our worldview on agriculture as an activity and food as a life sustenance one could change.
Right? That's the vision.
So let us just first understand the entire agri value chain,
yes.
What it entails. It starts with, if you linearly see it, the input manufacturing companies, their dealer, distributor, retailer network, then the entire process of cultivation, then what happens post-harvest, so that the food that we consume comes to us in a way where we can process it for our consumption. Right?
Okay.
That's the entire value chain. But the crux of how these inputs get converted into the food that we have is through the nature's cultivation as a process. And that's where our farmers, the only ones who convert the inputs into food, toil to make this happen. Right? So if you take that, the choices that the farmers will have to make is extremely critical, and we'll talk about all of this as we go along. But very simply put, you have to first wait for the season in which this particular crop needs to be grown.
Okay.
The food, the moment you say the food on the table, it contains many, many aspects. One, it has staples, then it has the proteins, the pulses, then you have the vegetables. So each one is a different category. One is perishable, one is non-perishable. And one is also, one is plant cell, the other one is an animal cell. If you are consuming curd and buttermilk and ghee. So it's a combination that goes in, and it is no secret that Indian palate or Indian recipe is the most scientific and balanced diet that you can ever get.
Wow.
So let's go back to how choices get made.
Sure.
If it is rice that we have, if we are a rice eating family, first and foremost, the one that gets harvested is paddy, not the rice. The grain that is inside the husk is paddy. For the type of paddy that you need to grow, and there are multiple varieties. First is, most of us are familiar with basmati, non-basmati. Basmati has a nice aroma, non-basmati does not. But rice per se is one category, right? So the choices that farmers make, you would be surprised, depends on how much water do I have, right? If you go to the delta of, say, Thanjavur is a big delta in terms of the paddy production. So the choices that they make in terms of, should I go for gundarasi, which usually goes in our idli dosa batter, or Ponni, which goes into our rice, the white rice that we eat, you'd be surprised. It depends on when the water in Mettur Dam gets released. Can you imagine? It's not about what gives me a better return. The timing of the release of water in Mettur Dam determines what quality or what category of rice that the farmer would look at sowing. No wonder water is such a contentious issue between the states.
Sure.
Because that determines what gets sown. So if the water gets released earlier, people opt for Ponni, which is a longer horizon crop. It's about 120 days, right? And is more valuable in terms of the realization of money per acre.
Okay.
Gundarasi is opted, or it's basically the coarse grain, is opted when the water release happens a little later, where the window is only 90 days, because this crop, fortunately, is a shorter crop than the Ponni. And hence they go with gundarasi. And because it is a thicker grain, your realization per acre is lower. And then the value chain after that is, gundarasi gets into the processing, including your arsi mavu, rice flour, and then gets into your murukku and other things. Whereas Ponni gets into, the paddy goes to the rice mill and then gets converted into rice, and the husk then goes into either animal feed or rice bran oil or, other applications. The rice gets polished layer after layer, where, the finer the grain, the more valuable it is. But the fact of the matter is, the finer the grain, the more nutrients are already gone. Okay, so that's what it is. So the more whiter and fairer the rice, we feel that is superior quality. It's actually the reverse of it. It's better to consume rice that is not appealing to your eyes, but it is better to your palate, because most of the fiber is in the raw rice.
Okay.
Right?
Nice.
So the entire value chain goes through, I would say, a metamorphosis to become food on the table. And it's not an app that delivers food on the table for you, but there is a household, there is a family, and the entire ecosystem that is so critical for our survival that toils to get food on the table for you.
Roughly from the time a farmer sows Ponni rice,
Right,
to Ponni rice becoming, ready to eat food on my table, how many people would have touched that grain, and what is their individual value addition?
Wow. Just Ponni rice, right?
Yeah, we'll just take that as a simple example.
Let's take first the seeding part of it. So you have to first, to grow Ponni rice, you have to have Ponni seeds.
Right. Okay.
So first you have to buy seeds.
Okay.
Right? Go to an authentic seed seller, because the percentage of germination depends on whether the seed is authentic or not.
Okay.
It's just not that you take from your previous harvest and then spray and then get it. No. So we have to start with selection of seeds. Then you have to have a preparation of a bed where you put the seed in a small portion of your overall land, where you have the seedlings prepared as a bed for transplantation, right? So that is a few weeks of activity, where that is when most of the labor force is required, manual labor, and then it gets transplanted, which you would have seen in many pictures and movies, where a bunch of those seedlings are basically taken, and then women painstakingly manually put them into the prepared bed after the transplantation.
Right.
Now, post-transplantation is when the entire cultivation happens, and then the harvest happens. Assuming everything has gone as per your plan,
Right.
you have the harvest. Post-harvest, so there are two ways in which the harvest happens, assuming the crop goes as scheduled. One is where you hire services of a harvester provider, because availability of labor is a problem. The harvest happens, the harvester comes, harvests, and the paddy is bagged and sent to the mill as one process, one option. There they have to dry it for few days to reduce the moisture. Post that is when the mill converts the paddy into rice, either immediately or in some cases the paddy is stored as paddy, and then as and when the requirement is there for rice is where it gets converted. So there is a rice mill that comes into existence post the harvest. The other way that the harvest gets sold is where you manually get it done, and then the hulling happens. After that, you dry it in your field, then take it to a mandi and sell your paddy at the mandi. The mandi trader then takes it to the rice mill to be able to convert the paddy into the rice.
This is to get economies of scale.
Right. Okay. And rice mill is the first level primary processing, I would say, from paddy to rice. And you need a physical infrastructure and machinery to make this happen. Now, the quality of the machine that the rice mill uses determines the conversion factor of how many kilos of paddy will give how many kilos of rice. If the machine is of inferior quality, then you get more broken and, as in Tamil they say, notchu. Broken rice, right? So if the machine is not of good quality, then your realization per kilo comes down significantly, which means your economic realization also comes down. Post that, the wholesalers buy it. Right? I'm talking of now the entire food chain. The wholesalers are the rice depots. Then the retailers convert that into 1 kilo, 5 kilo packets. After it is sorted and polished, all that happens in the rice mill itself. And then it comes into supermarkets in 1 kilo, 5 kilo packets, which will
almost 2 to 3 hands after the rice mill.
At least.
That's the distribution network essentially.
Correct.
Wonderful. This is the whole process of cultivation itself is quite complex. To add to that, the distribution in the value creation network downstream. When did you get interested in this whole sector? This is not something that is on people's horizon,
right?
As an entrepreneur.
True. Well, my entry into agriculture as a space, I would say, is more accidental. As a family, we did not do agriculture, but my grandfather did have agri land, and it so happened that one of my uncles died early, and my grandfather decided that our piece of land, that whatever holding that we had, will go to that entire holding will go to that family.
Okay.
Now, as many acres, I don't know how much. My father said, anyhow, he was also a banker, he was working. He said, let my brother's family take it. So we never got an opportunity even to visit our field. So far, I have not seen them where they are. But then as a child also, I had fascination for agriculture. Hence, on a lighter note, I keep telling people that perhaps in my previous life, I would have been a cow or a buffalo. Hence, I'm interested because I used to pick this, this plant, that leaf, and say that, hey, you know what, this is what it is, this is what it is. And there was a fascination for it. But I think the biggest shift for me to understand the dynamics of agriculture happened through the lens of a banker. When I got appointed as typist cum clerk in a rural branch of Canara Bank in 91. And I was posted to a small place called Cheruvu Belagal, C. Belagal in Kurnool district, population of about 4,000. rightfully so, predominantly agriculture. And then I saw the interplay between agriculture, smallholder farmer, and the role of financial services. And it was so intriguing that the entire coping mechanism that the farmers have is to be eligible for a provider, which is a banker, not necessarily how agriculture as an economic activity happens.
As a young person, your role in the bank got you interested in, and your training in financial services got you a foot in the door. Today, at the highest level, we'll come to the detail. Where are the pain points that a young person should in India get excited about as a possible solution, as a possible problem area to solve?
The first thing, Dr. Mahesh, that an youngster looking at agriculture should have is the fascination for the sector and the curiosity to learn. The starting point has to be that this is a massive sector, existential for the human race, not an option, and there is a reason why it is core to the human relevance. Then this is a sector with limitations, this is a sector with challenges, this is a sector with problems, this is a sector where there is misery, there is poverty. Then you are, as they say, looking down the barrel. So I would suggest that the youngsters, all of you who are looking at this sector from an interest perspective or from a Socratian perspective of understanding it, I would suggest bring the childlike curiosity to understand the sector as a whole and don't get swayed by what we hear in the media.
Wonderful
Because
message.
It was a challenge even for me when, as an entrepreneur, I went to ask for an investment in Samati in 2014. I was shocked that the understanding of the mainstream capitalist world of agriculture is so limited. Their understanding was only cultivation. A crop loan is what is agriculture. But the reality is a lot happens in agriculture. It is a living ecosystem, I would say. It's a living system where you have data, you have science, you have mechanics, you have, you have nature, right? Everything coming together in a fascinating manner. So crop loan is one part of it. Cultivation is one part of it. A lot happens before the seed goes into the soil. A lot happens after the seed is harvested. And the dependence on rain god is only during that period of seed going to the soil and coming out as harvest. Rest of it is not dependent on rain god. It's not dependent on the nature's vagaries as people would brush the entire sector.
Yeah, I think that's a misconception. It seems like the farmer is left. So let me reframe what you are asking. Is there room for innovation in all of these spaces today, you think?
Absolutely, without any doubt.
Not just financial.
In every aspect of agriculture, there is a possibility of innovation. Let us first start off with.
So if you were a young man today, what would be your starting point? Knowing what Anil Kumar Garu knows.
Right. My starting point, Dr. Mahesh, would be, I will not go with my theoretical understanding of agriculture. I will go and live in a village, dirty my hands, live with a farmer and understands the nuances of agriculture as an ecosystem, as a living space. That would be my starting point.
Wonderful.
You will never be able to understand agriculture without going to the field.
Okay.
And also understand it from the dimension of what can be done better than what are the constraints.
Let's talk about some India-specific ideas and India-specific problems. One of the challenges has been outlined is the land holding pattern in India.
Correct.
Right? It's very unique to India. With my basic research, I find even countries like Vietnam are very different in the land holding pattern. Forget the US and the West and even China. Correct. Is there any room for change there, or do we innovate with the current land holding pattern? Is it a good thing? How do we look at this?
It depends on how you look at it. My understanding is, first and foremost, the fragmentation of land holding is, I would say, thrust upon us by the way we look at the farmer. We, for some reason, whether it is formal financial institutions or the social structure that we have, I don't know whether it could be a combination of all of this. The farmer is the one who owns the land, is the preferred title that we have somehow gotten used to than the one who does farming.
So this is not the case anywhere else in other parts of the world, that the farmer and the owner are probably different people.
No, it could be the same also. But in India, what has happened is, for you to get the benefits of, because we are also a welfare state. For example, if you have to get a loan from a bank, the first thing they would say is, give me your chittadangal, your Patadar passbook. What is Patadar passbook? It says that you, Dr. Mahesh, is the owner of this many acres of land, and this is what you have done.
Okay.
But if, for example, you are here in IIT Madras, you say, hey, Anil, why don't you, being my neighbor in my village, do the farming and we will share the revenue.
Correct.
I cannot take your land holding passbook and go to the bank and say, Mahesh has given me the land to cultivate. I need only the working capital to cultivate. Can you give me a loan? No. Mahesh has to borrow, then give me the money.
Oh, I can imagine a parallel. Let's say I own a piece of land in a city and I want to give it for development to a contractor. The contractor can get the loan based on a power of attorney or some JV agreement.
Correct.
We need that.
Correct.
Okay,
And
good.
one of the dimensions of the farm laws, which I would say unfortunately got repealed, had this dimension.
It's very nice to know.
Lease and tenant farming, how do you formalize it for the overall welfare? Was one dimension.
Okay.
Anyhow.
Let's come back to technology. Right? We talked of land holding pattern briefly. How much technology is currently being deployed,
Right.
and where could we be?
Right. For that, you have to understand the psychology of the farmer.
Okay.
If it is at the grassroots level, at the field level, the vulnerability of a farmer of a missed crop cycle is very high. If, as I mentioned, the choice of whether it is Gundarasi or Ponni is determined by the release of water, which means a difference of 30,000-40,000 per acre, by the way.
Wow.
Right? Say, if that is the difference, now assume he loses one crop. Where is Pongal? Where is Sankranti? Where is Bihu? So we cannot expect the farmers to change their current practices and get into new cultivation methodologies unless we provide them a safety net. And that is one of the things that we may want to reflect as a combination of the research, academia, market, policy, and the farmers. For example, how do we map the entire lab to land dimension? Now we have ICAR institutions.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There is a beautiful research and there is so much that we have done. Right? Now there are Krishi Vigyan Kendras who are supposed to pass on all this research and other things to the respective areas that they operate in by conducting training programs and things like that.
Right.
Now, unless there is a safety net for the farmer, that you change your process of what you are doing to what we are suggesting, and should there be a loss, we will handhold you to the extent of what you would have earned had you not changed, is a better way to get technology into agriculture than asking them, you change. And if for any reason the results don't work out to be what we had in our controlled environment, I will prove that what I have said was right. But that doesn't help. That doesn't help. You may be right.
Right.
Nobody is questioning the veracity of the research results. But if I am the person who is at the receiving end of this change, am I capable of taking that risk?
So
that becomes an important
Let's dissect that a little bit. The person doing this technology development and research versus the farmer.
Correct.
Is there a difference in the level of let's say, their credentialed knowledge, meaning that person may be a PhD or a master's in agriculture, this person is maybe high school educated. But whereas when I take a parallel where, let's say, IIT Madras does development work for a DRDO or a SRO, the person on the other side is as knowledgeable as me and can question me back whether I am doing the right thing as a professor.
Correct.
Is that gradient too high for this transfer to be sort of more seamless? Is that a problem?
It's less about the intellectual capability. I would actually say that the native knowledge of the farmer is more superior than the theoretical knowledge of a PhD student.
In this case,
because the resilience that they have, they know they can smell the air and say whether it's going to rain or not.
Right.
It is still not uncommon that people predict.
This, in my world, is called user-centric design. Right? So what we are suggesting is maybe agriculture can benefit from some user-centric thinking and research.
Coupled with the safety nets for adoption.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Without the safety net for adoption, you cannot transfer the risk of failure to the farmer in India because they are smallholder farmers. And the economic impact of a failed experiment is debilitating for a farming household. And we have the moral responsibility to do no harm. Have to do no harm. That is as far as cultivation is concerned. Let's go back to your question on where else technology can come in.
Yes.
Technology can play a significant role in solving some of the fundamental problems.
Okay.
Without touching the cultivation. Let's not touch the farmer household for now. We will come to the farmer household later because there the vulnerabilities and the risk is the highest.
Okay.
What are the areas where technology can play a role? First and foremost, availability of physical labor is a big problem in India. Second problem is across the country.
Wow.
Across the country. And it is just not the physical hands and legs. The fact that everybody needs the labor within a short window is also a problem. When you have to do harvest, everybody needs to do the harvest at the same time. If you have to do the transplanting, everybody needs. So because it is seasonal and cyclical, the requirement of labor is not linear, it is volatile. Two, with the booming real estate market, many of these farming laborers go to the nearby town for the real estate work because that is more remunerative and more, I would say, predictable in terms of the number of days of work than the farming labor that we have. Mechanization. Second problem is youth not staying in agriculture. They are going away. The average age of an Indian farmer today is about 51, 52. Right? It is aging. And nobody wants to do the manual labor. Right? Third, the mechanization as we understand, I'm talking of farm mechanization, it is better for us to look east than west because of our fragmented small land holding. So I would suggest if technology from a farm mechanization needs to be looked into, can we look at what a farmer in Japan is doing as an example? You took as Vietnam. I'm saying let us go to Japan. Japan, the average age of a farmer is about 71, 72 now.
Wow.
Land holding is much smaller than India, of course.
Wow.
Right? But they are high on mechanization. Now, one of the reasons for youth not staying in agriculture is because it's physical labor. You give technology and make agriculture more technology-enabled economic activity for youth. So you are solving three problems in a go. One, you are bringing mechanization and hence solving for the manual labor or availability of labor. Two, you are bringing youth back into agriculture because now they are not doing the manual tilling. Right? It's not mere desh ki dharti and somebody adjacent to you and you are taking pride in tilling your land with 2 buffaloes or 2 oxen. Right? That is at that era and people took pride in doing it. Now people don't have the stamina to do it, even physically.
Correct.
Right? They would rather.
Expectations are different.
And aspirations are more knowledge
and
economy.
Rightfully so, I think.
Of course, yes. Yeah. They would like to have the comforts of life. Rightfully.
Correct.
Right? As against you go to Australia. Australia has a separate airport for farmers.
Really?
Which means farmers have their own aircrafts. The spraying in Australia happens through small aircrafts. So look at only a small percentage of population feeds the entire country.
Sure.
But I'm saying that's the level of difference when you look at large tracts of land on the west to how the east has to be looked into. So can we use technology in solving the dimension of mechanization? Second one, where we can use technology to solve the dimension of, I would say, ensuring better realization of value for the toil that the farmers have, is on quality and assaying.
Okay.
One of the best things, Dr. Mahesh, to have happened for milk is the standardization of the quality parameters.
Absolutely.
Today, you take 100 ml of milk to test the fat and SNF. You go to a milk collection center. I and my friend go. Depending on my fat and SNF level and his fat and his SNF level, I may get 25 rupees 50 paise, he may get 25 rupees 75 paise. And both of us know that we have been fairly dealt with.
Standardization and qualities.
Correct.
Quality
Other
standards.
than this, the technology still is not, prevalent and ubiquitous used. There are models which are trying to using spectrometer and spectrometric.
So there is no standard for what is grade A Ponni rice or something like. There is no standard today.
Which can be scientifically.
Correct.
Today it is still manual, right, and archaic, and hence there is
sense of fairness. You have to build in that sense of objectivity and therefore fairness. There's room for technology there,
and that may trigger, or rather, why may that would trigger farmers paying attention to quality.
I was talking to another friend who said the same thing happened with apples.
Yeah.
Right. The moment they wrote down a standard for what is the highest grade apple, the economy in Kashmir benefited significantly. So in this whole, again, back to the role of technology, specifically with landholding pattern, we know there are farm cooperatives.
Yes.
Are they, what is their role in this whole value chain, and can they be engines of innovation and tech creativity?
Thank you for asking that, because that takes me to your earlier question, in fact.
Okay.
On landholding and individual farmer and things like that, right? Whether it is good or not good in the Indian context. We cannot change the landholding pattern of this country.
Sure.
Now it will only get fragmented further, right? The only way to aggregate the land is through the aggregation of the land owners or the farmers. This is where I personally and Samannati sees a significant opportunity of collectivization leading to benefits for the farmers. That is where our AMLA approach comes into picture. Aggregation, market linkage and advisory services. So let us understand how this collectivization and the farming cooperatives, whether it is cooperatives or farmer producer organizations, would change. By understanding the current situation. There is an individual farmer, right? And he has only, or she has only 2 acres of land in which she has water enough for 1 acre. Now, how does this cultivation start? You started this podcast saying, tell us how the cultivation happens. So the farmer will have to buy seeds. So for a 1 acre land, where will the farmer go to buy seeds? They have to now go to the retail most part of the input value chain.
Correct.
Right? Which means retailer, above him dealer distributor, above him one more wholesaler perhaps, and then comes the manufacturer or the seed company.
Correct.
Right? Now every layer added means more cost.
Correct.
So in a way, the farmer is buying at the retail most part of a value chain, which means paying the highest price for it. Similar is with all other inputs. Because you are buying in small quantities, your chick shampoo dimension comes into picture.
Correct.
In this also, because you are buying small quantities, but your per unit cost is pretty high. Now, assuming the cultivation process goes through as planned, because this is a big assumption we are making, but assuming it all goes through. Now you have to harvest, which you have harvested. Now, how much have you harvested? 1 acre worth paddy. Can you transport this small quantity to the nearest mandi to sell? your cost of transportation is high. So you have to find a local aggregator, which means you are selling more or less on the site, which means you are selling wholesale. So in an individual farmer engagement, you buy retail, sell wholesale. What happens to the margins?
Terrible.
Right? Now assume 100 people come together, which is what a collective is. Just assume. Now it is 100 acres. Right? Whatever you buy for 100 acres, the retail guy may not have the ability to sell so much. He would say, no, go to wholesaler. So straight away you are going to a wholesaler, which means your cost of purchase is coming down. Similarly, now 100 acres of harvest, now you have the ability to hire a truck and go to the nearby mandi. See how aggregation brings in a dimension of expanding the margins from your inputs being bought in wholesale as against retail, sell in a better yielding markets as against on the farm gate. That is what collectivization do. So the future for our country, where we have significantly high percentage of smallholder farmers with fragmented land holdings, is collectivization. That is where huge compliments to our policy makers and thinkers and nation builders, that they thought about cooperative model earlier and they thought about FPOs now. That's the future.
What is the structure of this FPO? Is it like a shareholding company where the farmers are shareholder? I just want to get to that.
Right. So FPO, Dr. Mahesh, is a category.
Okay.
Within FPO, there are FPCs, farmer producer company.
Okay.
So these farmer producer companies came into existence by way of an amendment to our Indian Companies Act in 2004.
Wow. Okay.
Around that time. Right? So they are a body corporate.
Okay.
The idea is, how do we bring the dimension of a better governance to a cooperative sector?
Very nice.
Because cooperative sector has its own dynamics.
Okay.
And can we bring a corporate dimension to the FPC or FPO? Right? Now it's a company owned by the producers, which means the shareholding is of the farmers.
Okay.
It is collectively owned by them. And there are beautiful guardrails.
So these FPCs can now employ people for the betterment of the bigger shareholders.
Yes.
Right? So potentially a smart IIM graduate can be the CEO of a large enough FPC and run it to profitability.
Absolutely. No, many of you who are looking at this as a sector to look for your careers, FPCs or FPOs provide a huge opportunity. Not only just being a CEO, you can actually set up an FPO. Right? Two, you can bring primary processing at an FPO level. You can bring in the dimension of post-harvest management at an FPO level. You can aggregate a federation of FPOs and then take them to the export markets. You can bring in the dimension of secondary processing to them. So the opportunities are immense the moment you get into this FPO space. And for all of this, you don't need to go into the farm and do the farming. Let the farmers do the farming. You create an ecosystem or an infrastructure to take the baton from there to the next level for their welfare.
This is a wonderful idea. So the idea of setting up an FPO, FPC or an FPO, and like an entrepreneur, like you saying, here are 50 cotton farmers in Maharashtra, I'll bring them together and create a body corporate, as you said, right? All of this is already enabled by policy. There are no policy roadblocks.
Absolutely. I would say for someone to do a meaningful work today, all enablers are in place.
Okay.
Can they be better? In life, anything can be better. But nothing stops.
And I know agricultural income is tax-free in India. Would the FPO also be exempt?
There are a lot of benefits.
Okay.
There are.
So there is a like a safety net being provided, even not just at the farmer level, but at the FPC, FPO level also.
And there are multiple schemes for hand-holding, for institution capacity building. The RBI's PSL guidelines includes FPOs. The Agri Infrastructure Fund includes FPOs. So government has opened up all, I would say, doors and windows to encourage and support FPOs.
So let's imagine for a minute one of India's largest FPCs. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure some are larger than others. If I take a large enough company in India doing business for profit, they have a small amount of their revenue set aside for research, development, new product development. What could be some ideas for an FPC to be investing, a fraction of their revenues in? What could they? Is that idea even on the anvil today?
There are some green shoots and wonderful examples.
Okay.
You would be surprised. There is an FPO down south which exports bananas.
Wow.
Exports. There is an FPO in Anantapur which has exported for the first time the jamun seeds to Europe.
For Ayurveda and other benefits.
Correct. So there are FPOs and there are FPOs which are in the exports of grapes. There are FPOs which are in the exports of grains. In fact, I would say if we play this FPO card nicely as a country, I would say all of us have to come back. All of us have to come together and play our role. If we are able to do that, we can actually unlock the food security value for many of the smaller countries with FPOs growing what they need and farmers getting benefited.
And Samunnati has been at the center of making this change happen. In your phrase AMLA, sort of catches all of what you have done. Tell us a little bit about Samunnati's, it's like green shoot, the green shoot version of Samunnati and what it does today.
Well, we exist to make markets work for smallholder farmers.
Okay.
Right. And the word Samunnati is Sama Unnati, collective Unnati, growth, prosperity and elevation. So collective growth, collective prosperity, collective elevation is the name of Samunnati.
Yeah.
It's there. Markets are working off the farmers now, predominantly. How can we make markets benefit the farmers also so that markets can work for the smallholder farmers? And we see FPOs as vehicles or as conduits to make this happen. Right? Metaphorically speaking, assume that an FPO is a highway and the farmers are the destinations. You can see the number of vehicles that can be plied on the highway. And as latest as 1st October this year, the Pension Fund Regulatory Development Authority appointed 5 FPOs as pension agents to provide pension for their member farmers.
Wow.
With the FPO acting as the pension agent.
This is true corporatization of agriculture.
And our aspiration as a country, looking at covering everyone by 2047 with pension, I would say can happen when such structures come together. Now talk about insurance, talk about mutual funds. All these are still not farming. So the beauty of an FPO is where you can move from the farmer to the farmer, from farming activity to the actor. And that's the power of FPOs.
Are there any publicly traded FPCs today?
Not yet.
Not yet, right?
Not yet.
So there could be some that could grow to become larger.
I would bet that.
Okay.
Right. God willing, we have one more podcast. We may actually have it after an FPO is listed on the exchange.
Wow. That's a wonderful aspiration to have.
Because today, an FPO is already functioning as an MSME.
Correct.
They have Udyam certificates.
Correct.
Right. They are covered under all the MSME requirements. Some of them are covered under CGT MSE guarantee. Many of them have TREDS lines, by the way.
Wow.
And some of them, as I mentioned, also have IE code to export. So stock market is not far away.
That would be. And has this happened anywhere else in the world, that there are publicly traded cooperatives?
Well, Rabobank is a gold standard of the cooperatives doing something in agriculture. It's the only AAA rated bank in the world owned by cooperatives.
Wow.
100 plus years old entity, Rabobank, Netherlands.
So time we have, we are ready for something as big.
Technology will play a big role in that. Technology is just not the farm mechanization that I mentioned. Data, climate is a big one, right? And assaying that I mentioned. So the suggestion to the students who are looking at making career is, don't look at agriculture only from a farming and cultivation and romance and things like that. Agriculture has immense opportunities in data analytics, in climate resilience, in sustainability, clean energy, green assets, what have you.
Let's talk finance, which is one of Samunnati's core forte. When a farmer needs finance, there are only 2 or 3 sources. They go to their local bank, and that's, like you said, there's a problem there because they may not be a landowner in some case, or they go to their local money lender who fleeces them, and there's a massive problem there. What are some ideas that you see are being tried where access to capital and more than even access to capital, providing them the safety net with the capital, insurance, um, has a deeper penetration in a country like India? What are some ideas that you see being discussed there?
Here again, we are seeing a lot of green shoots with FPOs taking the lead in representing their members' requirements. Now, I'll tell you a structure. FPO has an input shop.
Okay.
Say, since you took cotton as an example, let's take cotton, right? And they have about 100 members who are cotton growing farmers, right? Now, what can an FPO do with them? By the way, I have to clarify that an FPO is not necessarily in one value chain. An FPO which is working with cotton farmers can also be working with dairy,
Okay.
right? Because farming is always both together. Kheti badi, padi panta, right? It's just not only cultivation, right? So coming back, let me not move away from this stream. Say 100 cotton growing farmers. Now, what will the input shop should sell? Quality inputs to grow cotton. Because that's what predominantly they are looking at, right? And they will then also offer advisory services to grow cotton because people are coming there. Soon after harvest, they can actually procure the kapas. By availing maybe, Agri Infrastructure Fund or any other facility, an FPO can have a ginning unit and then supply the bales, cotton bales, to the nearest spinning mill. Right? Now, in this structure, assuming it is in place, what is the role of a member who is a farmer? They will have to say, hey, give me inputs on credit, not in cash. Right? Provide me advisory services to grow. Then buy my output, right? And deduct whatever that you have given me as an advance. And then take it forward. Now here, the dichotomy of a lender and a partner disappears.
Yes.
We are all aligned.
Yeah.
As against now, for the activity, I have to go to other person. For my lending, I have to go to this person. Activity is understood by my partner, whether it is an FPO or an Aditya or a dealer distributor of an input shop. But a lender on a standalone lending does not. So there is this categorization of the players in the agri value chain. Either you are an internal player in the value chain or an external player in the value chain.
And they are at odds in some way.
The internal player is more enabling because they are embedded in the value chain. An external player is outside the value chain, and most of the waterfall of the cash flows first accrue to the internal player, then comes to the external player. So if you are seeing delinquencies in the crop loan portfolio, it is because perhaps it is already getting adjusted within the value chain. That is what one has to be careful of.
As you were describing, I'm sort of making this parallel between a real body corporation, manufacturing company, and an FPC or an FPO. A body corporate manufacturing company has most of their value creation is through salaried employees that don't take risk. Here it appears that the farming sector, you have salaried employees who are actually doing the transplantation. Is there a model where they can formally be employees of the FPC? So the labor problem also can possibly be mitigated?
It's difficult. Because by nature, farming is an entrepreneurial activity. You cannot make entrepreneurs employees. Because there are so many decisions that get taken in a decentralized fashion. Whether to cultivate or not is a decision. Whether I keep land fallow or cultivated is a decision.
Our IT model of keeping people, employing them, keeping them on a bench, so to say, is not something that is yet, it's not possible.
Not in agriculture. What you can do is, a body corporate can take land on lease and do what is called corporate farming.
Right.
That's a different story.
Right.
Then you are growing what you want to grow.
Right.
Right. By employing labor. Again, not employees.
Right.
Right. But then when you are working with farmers, there are many, many nuances. Right.
The benefit, if we can go that far, or if it is even possible, is that this large labor force that farms can now be more formally employees with benefits. And so there is a certain stability to their lives as opposed to daily wages.
There are advantages, but the other dimensions or challenges is the disguised unemployment that is there in the agriculture.
Right.
There are more nuances to it, Dr. Mahesh. Yeah.
I have a more dumb question here, and this is because I'm a completely city-bred boy. Take a village near Thanjavur. Is it common that every farmer in a village or a small collection of villages nearby plant the same crop, or is there diversity possible even in a small geography? You talked about how everybody needs harvest labor at the same time, everybody needs water at the same time. If you could diversify locally, is that even happening today? I'm completely not knowledgeable about it.
Well, by design, the diversity is within a range.
Okay.
But not completely diverse.
Okay.
Why Thanjavur grows paddy? First and foremost, agriculture is a living ecosystem.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Your agroclimatic zone. Why Alaska cannot grow paddy?
Well, the climate doesn't allow it.
The beauty of our country is the diversified agroclimatic zones that we have, and hence we have the ability to grow virtually anything and everything. That is why, if you go back, the reason why we have been able to support such large human population on this globe is because of the dimension of this land. 50% of our country is cultivable.
Wow.
As against 15, which is global average.
Wow. We are blessed.
Exactly. Right? So there is the dimension of agroclimatic zones, whether you can do. So let us come back to Thanjavur. Right? The reason why Thanjavur is because Thanjavur is known for the paddy cultivation. Within Thanjavur, there is a small mandal or part of Thanjavur called Pattukottai. Now, Pattukottai area is known for coconuts. Can you imagine 1 every 4 coconuts apparently procured by Marico is from that region?
Wow.
That's how prolific they are. Now, can you grow coconuts in Deccan Plateau? Difficult.
No.
So, there is a dimension of what you can grow. But within that, can there be a little bit of diversity? Yes.
And is it good to have that little bit of diversity?
It is.
Okay.
It is. So that you can play with a little bit of market dynamics.
Okay.
But then, imagine each one of the farmer is growing something else. First and foremost, how do you consult what I should do if there is a problem? 2, imagine the input shop guy. What all he should have.
Correct.
Say there are 100 households in a village. 100 of them have 100 varieties.
Right.
Now, where is one person says, give me 1 packet of, say, a particular input. Now, he has to have 100 varieties.
Right.
So, the aggregation helps. And the agroclimatic zone play to the strength. But then the challenge is, we also have a herd mentality in terms of growing the same thing.
Yeah.
Irrespective of whether the demand-supply dynamics are playing out or not. And that's the problem.
I remember when my social studies 8th class textbook, we would read, Punjab is the wheat bowl of India. Today, Punjab grows rice more than wheat. So, changes are possible, but they take a little bit of time.
Correct.
You've been steeped in this world for a very long time. Looking ahead, let's say 15, 20 years, where do you see Indian agriculture going? What, if you were to quickly describe a pen picture of Indian agriculture 20 years from now, what is your vision of that?
If we play our cards well, which I am fairly confident of, I think our country has the ability to provide food security for humanity.
Wow.
I would say that. For multiple reasons, Dr. Mahesh. One, I told you we have an inherent geographical advantage through a diversified agroclimatic zones to virtually produce anything and everything. As a person who has seen agriculture very closely, all the inefficiencies that we talk about, I see them as opportunities. First and foremost, a large part of our land is left uncultivated, fallow. But the fertility is still there. You can do something. Two, our productivity levels are very low. That's an opportunity to increase the productivity level. Our on-farm processing is very low. Good, you can bring mechanization there. Export is abysmally low. Then get into the export markets. Primary processing is very low. Food, post-harvest food loss is significantly higher, which means you can bring in efficiencies. So the problem that we often ball cut can be an opportunity in every aspect. Right? What we have been focusing on is significantly around production, increasing the production. If we start looking at agriculture from a value chain perspective, completely, start from input manufacturing to the ultimate consumption, including the processing that we can have, agriculture can yield significant value add. And just not the cultivation. Now I'm not talking of farming. Right? You also have animal husbandry, you also have poultry, you also have pisciculture. It's all part of the same ecosystem, agriculture.
And, we've heard this many times, doubling farmers' incomes.
Correct.
The doubling need not come only from the productivity part alone or the farming part alone. The doubling can come from a larger piece of the pie. That's the message.
And that message, Dr. Mahesh, is there in the slogan itself, doubling the farmer's income. It was not farming income. Farmer's income.
Nice.
So if you take farmer as a household, you can do multiple things to double their income.
Wow. So if a young student watching this says, I want to invest my time in that discussion, right. What are the early 2-3 things they should do? And what education should they aspire to have? There's some role of formal education also.
Correct. I would say if I would rather urge you should look at agriculture as the new wave of economic prosperity and careers. I would suggest use your time in the school to do internships with agri-focused entities. If you have, as part of your curriculum, need to spend time in the field rather than going to a factory floor or to a services company, go to an FPO and spend some time there. Understand the dynamics of data, climate resilience, sustainability, ESG principles, satellite imagery to look at the agri challenges. There are a host of things where you can use the cutting edge of technology, data, and impact together. And if you bring all of that from an economic value add, this is a huge segment. Right? We are basically talking about, say the 5 trillion economy that we are talking about. Even if you take 20% as agriculture, $1 trillion is what we are talking about. And every aspect of agriculture can be improved. And there is an opportunity. So don't look at agriculture only from the dimension of the farmer farming and sitting on a dry piece of land, hopelessly looking into the sky for rain. That's not the caricature of a farmer that we should aspire for. Look at the farmer as the one who is providing the food on the table, as my Annadata.
Yeah.
And be grateful to him or her.
Yeah.
And then say, how do I make this sector better? And this is where since 2000, since COVID, you see the number of agtech startups that have come in this. There are multiple categories, but it is very, very heartening to see youngsters taking up entrepreneurship to solve some of the age-old problems in agriculture. And the best part is there are incubators now which have come up. and you also have private capital backing this.
We will have links to all of these in the description for you to learn.
Super.
I think the definition of farmer, my one takeaway, one of the 2 or 3 high-level takeaways for me, a farmer need not be the one that actually puts the sapling in the ground and harvests the grain. Everybody associated with the farm and farming can become a farmer. Like, our IT industry, one of their biggest victories is anybody that touches a computer today is an IT person.
That's a nice analogy. Yeah.
We're not the fellow writing the software, that's a very small subset. So I think our definition, our view of this, the people conglomerate around this activity, should change. And with that, and the second biggest takeaway for me is the role of FPOs, FPCs, cooperatives, and what they have already done and can do.
True.
And your last closing thoughts before we close this discussion.
Now, all that I would like to say is agriculture is a fascinating field, providing huge opportunities, and it's at the cusp of getting into a new orbit as far as Indian agriculture is concerned. Technology would be a huge value driver for agriculture. And I would say to you, all youngsters, look at every problem in agriculture as a huge opportunity, because 60% of our country is still on agriculture in terms of number of people and the households that are engaged. Not from a social perspective, not from an impact perspective alone. There is a pure potential opportunity to do something meaningful and valuable.
Thank you so much, Anil Kumar Garu, for coming on this podcast and sharing your wisdom, decades of wisdom. This is not easy to find. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mahesh Garu. Thanks for this opportunity. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
This is another episode of the Professor Mahesh Podcast, your resource to help you make informed career decisions. Know what you're choosing. Until we meet again, be well, do good, and keep in touch. Goodbye.